Super. So I figured I wanted to show off this program and at the same time explain how to make something pretty basic in it. Terragen 3. The free non-commercial version. It has limitations, but they're fine limitations, you know, if you're just okay with these limitations. Terragen, and I figured I might as well be explaining about this. So, Terragen, pretty complex, but to make simple scenes, not much of a problem. In fact, it's already finished rendering a scene that we won't need. That music. Okay, that's better. So then anyways, we're just going to make something very basic here because I'm not getting into the other stuff because honestly I don't know how to use that much of it. Yeah, not a good sign when your tutor doesn't know anything about it. So anyways, down here, let's just explain the interface first. First off, new file, open, save, which brings up a dialog where you can save the file, save as a specifically named file, or save incremental, which will add a number onto the end of it so you don't need to go edit it. Render view, which lets you render your final scene, meaning it'll be in higher quality. Open 3D preview, that's open by default. It's this thing over here with the gray colored mountains in it. Objects, terrain, shaders, water, atmosphere, lighting, cameras, renders, and node network. Those are all buttons that bring up their respective things. Pauses rendering, all this stuff makes certain things invisible, the status of whether it's done rendering. This thing, which if you click on it, brings up controls for moving the camera. And this, which I'll get to later on, this button in particular. Although, just verifying some settings. So anyways, I figure the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the ground color. To change the ground color, you're going to have to look at the node network. Now there's no need to click on this button. Just go down below the rendering window and get to this thing. It has all these buttons in it, which each will, if you double click on them or click on them, will take you to the respective location. We want to go to shaders, because shaders handles various advanced things. It starts you off with a bunch of basic objects, so you can, well, you know, basic stuff, so you can just start right off. So anyways, double click on base colors and you'll get this weird window. Now, from what I can tell, none of this does anything. You want to go into color, and this will let you specify what color the ground is. This little square at the end will let you change the high color, which is what the ground is. You'll get this interface. Well, by default, you'll get this interface. I choose this one because I'm pretty familiar with it. But there's that, and the built-in one. Let me use this. So, we're now going to select the color of our ground. I am going to color it, like orange or something, or like that. You can also double-click on one of these to modify the color slightly, and randomize will move it around a bit. Hit OK, and it should change eventually, though. I need to see if this is actually what's doing it, because this is what does it. Okay, that's not doing it. I have to find out what's causing this color, and I'll report back. Okay, I found out what was wrong. Here's the weird thing about Terragen. If you're inside of the objects, terrain, I believe, or shaders, then your graphics will not be visible in that preview window. So simply put, double click on base colors, it'll bring this thing up, and then set your color, which I'm going to set off screen, because you really don't need to watch it, you know, you've already seen it. And now, I'm going to click on atmosphere, and then our color should show up. Okay, there's our color, see? Now, the rendering system is very weird. Every time you change something, it starts off at low quality and slowly increases in quality. And the sky honestly looks totally weird. It looks like something taken out of a Nintendo 64 game. But you can change the color here as much as possible. From what I can tell, low color does nothing. I mean, I haven't seen anything actually happen. But inside my previews, I always set the low color. I always set it. Even if I don't know if it's going to be used or not. Okay, there. Now we now have differently colored ground, but we probably want to get a bit more advanced, though. So go back down to the node window thing, node network, and click on terrain, and then you'll see this. There are 3 different little red things in it. There's simple shapes shader, which it's the ground. I don't really know much about this. Fractal terrain, which the colors here, I'm seeing if the colors do anything. Okay, I don't think the colors here do anything. Displacement does something. If you turn on adjust coastline, all of the mountains will become noticeably lower. I'm guessing to align to the water, which I will get to. And here's where we can get customizing. It's very hard to show this off because I wanted to make the hypercam small so it would make all the text actually readable. But displacement amplitude, which is in the displacement tab under fractal terrain, if you make, well, it seems like it randomizes it every time. Whenever you drag this thing around, it seems to affect how big the mountains are. Like, this is way taller. Also, right here's random seed. If you hit random seed, it'll randomize all the mountains all over again. So now I'm going to hit it off screen and you watch the differences. That one has a big difference. And just like with Minecraft, you can type in any number here and get a random seed. I'm going to choose one that looks interesting. In reality, there's no need to change the displacement unless you're really picky. Because in reality, you can just hit random seed and get what you're looking for. Okay, so that's the main thing you just really need to mess with in there, is the seed. Ignore the other thing I told you, it's not really that important. Compute terrain. Now this is important. I know what this one does, thankfully, so you don't have to worry about me blindly telling you information on this one. I'm using the camera controls, which I'll explain to you later. But see this mountain in the background? With compute terrain, we can edit it. First off, if you hit smooth surface, the mountains will be rounded a bit. They usually become rounder. I mean, I hope I'm not lying to you here, because I believe I did it on one of my own renders and that happened. And then you can adjust the gradient patch size. And, well, it usually affects the mountains a bit. I don't know exactly what this does, but it seems to make the mountains lower. We don't want that. I want them to be as choppy as possible so that it did edit them. I'm going to set this to 65 and there. We now have medium-sized mountains. We're going to handle the clouds and the water at the end. But for now, we're going to move the camera around and we're going to try to find a good location. I'm going to adjust the camera for a second. Okay, and so here's the camera controls. At the top, there's roll. And roll doesn't do much, and I wouldn't recommend you use it unless you want some weird looking camera view in your file render. You can hit the icon in the middle to reset it though. Next is the rotate buttons. Using it you can rotate left and right. You can also reset your rotation if you really feel like aiming straight for some reason. Zoom in and zoom out. You can make the view go really insane looking if you do it too much though, like that. Also, next ones, move up, move down. You'll very slowly move up and down. Similarly, you can click it to reset it, although it's kind of misleading and actually sends you upward. Next, move up and move down, which will be very handy whenever you're trying to get the right view. And oh yeah, down here. What are these? Move. Oh, here's how you increase your movement speed. Whoa, that's gonna come handy. I didn't even bother with these things. So you use this to adjust your movement speed. I was kind of complaining about that a second ago. So using this, you can move around and find a good location to take pictures. But warning though, moving too far will cause the screen to glitch out like it's doing right now. You have to wait a second and let it re-render the environment. So you can find a location where you want to render, although you want to stand still so it re-renders the environment. Although, really, our original location was kinda good. I'm gonna go back there. So now just trying to find our original location. I'm feeling like we might have lost it. Okay, no, I don't think we did. No, this is our point right here. This is the mountain we were looking at. Okay then, so we're now going to try rotating around to see if there's any good looking mountains that isn't that one. Okay, we have little hills that way. We have boring looking environments in every direction but forward. Okay, so never mind, forward obviously has the best view. Also, that little wireframe down there is our camera. It's where our camera is sitting. However, we can move it. So, for example, I'm going to move the camera right above the ground. Or should I say right on top of this little hill that's in front of the camera for some reason. And then I'm going to use this to tilt the camera upward because I consider the sky more important than the ground. So, yeah, we've now taken care of that step. We now have the camera position, so you can now close that out. Now, importantly, there's this button right here. Copy this view to the current render camera. Push this button and the camera will be moved the next time it updates. See, the camera is now where we are. And this is what it'll render, but it looks rather boring. We need to make the lighting more interesting to make this render more worth it. So go up here and click on lighting, and then go over here and you'll see Enviro Light and Sunlight. We want to modify, well, I don't know what this does honestly, but there's under Enviro Light, there's Global Illumination and Ambient Occlusion. I choose Ambient Occlusion because it makes sunsets better, and that's exactly what we're going to go handle. So anyways, this is the sun, basically. We're able to move the sun around. It's almost like the one sun glitch I should seriously show you. You move the sun around. So then anyways, first off we have heading. Heading will rotate the sun around the sky. See that little plus in the sky? That's the sun. You have to wait for it to re-render, and then a noticeable white thing will appear around it. So anyways, click on it and a bunch of arrows will appear. You can move the sun around, but we're going to move it right down where the mountain is. As I'm thinking about moving it right down where the mountain is, and it should automatically turn to look sunsetish, see? But we're going to modify its color. Go down here and hit color, dot at the corner. We're going to make it more noticeably sunset. Very that. Now hit OK, and it should update. You can see that changing the sun's color practically affects everything. Yes, so you could make the sun any ridiculous color you want. But of course, we're not going to. So that should do nicely. We're now going to handle water and atmosphere, though, because those two, they'll handle stuff quite nicely. So anyways, let's click on atmosphere. And now with atmosphere, we can now customize. Well, actually, we don't really need to mess around with atmosphere. We can increase the number of samples, but I don't see the point in that. So never mind, ignore that. I normally don't mess with the atmosphere, but advanced users only. So always hit add cloud layer, and you'll get 4 different options. Cirrus, 2D, Altocumulus, 2D, or 3D volumetric. Or you'll get Cumulus, which is the lowest level clouds. I'm going to select Cirrus because those look good. It'll add on a new thing down here, and we should get this dialogue. And immediately you'll notice it changes appearance, but that's not what we're going to focus on. So anyways, we're going to click on color, cloud color. Here we can modify the cloud color as needed. I usually mess around with this. I usually make it look more sunsetish. I either turn it purple or I turn it orange. It's up to you what you want to set it, though. I'm going to set it to that color. Scattering color, I don't know what this is used for. It doesn't appear to be used for anything, but I always set it just in case. I usually set it to a darker color for some reason. And of course our view now looks a bit different. Quality, now this is where it gets important. You can make it be 3D or 2D. Even on Cirrus, you can still make it be 3D. But as you can tell, it really doesn't make a difference on this one. So quality, I don't know what any of these do, so really this isn't that helpful of a tutorial to begin with. Sample jitter. If you turn sample jitter down, you make the clouds change slightly. Ray fuzziness. Ray fuzziness, whoa. Ray fuzziness makes the renderer go weird for the first split second, but I don't know anything else about it. Step optimization. Receive shadows from surfaces. It doesn't appear to make a difference, but I'm guessing it does. Acceleration cache, you can set this to, well, you can set it to however much quality you want, but we want the highest detail. You can also mess around with this if you really want to. Sharpness, density, coverage. Coverage is the one that I notice has the most difference. You can make more clouds appear or less. So, if you move this to the right, you'll be more likely to get more clouds. At least I've noticed that on Cumulus. I haven't verified it on the others yet. It doesn't appear to actually do anything, though. Now also, pattern. Hit pattern and you'll get this. Random seed. Just like with the other one, you can hit random seed and you'll get different shaped clouds. You have to wait a few seconds to make the clouds appear, see? I'm not going to mess with the rest of it though, just to be safe. I'm not messing up the scene. So anyways, we're now going to add on another cloud layer, and it's going to be Alto Cumulus 3D. So anyways, I'll get a little preview right here, and this noticeably changed. So anyways, you can mess around with the altitude if you really want to, but I don't want to because it's risky. So anyways, let's go to color and let's modify the color again. You don't really have to because, in my opinion, it kind of does a good job with color selection, especially how it's good at sunset. But I'm now going to modify the color because I always do this. Next, go up and hit pattern again, and then hit random seed, and you will notice the changes. Do you notice the changes already? Also, the little preview over here also updates, as you can see. Now, this is I think where the coverage becomes important. This right here is coverage. Yep. Okay then, notice the preview, watch. I have it all the way down, there's barely any. Turn it all the way up, there's all clouds. And it's really dark in the preview. We're going to set it to be 0, so it'll be default. We're just going to leave it at this for the sake of not messing around with it anymore because I don't want to break it. And next we're going to mess around with the last option, water. Hit add water object, then lake. You'll get a thing in your water section on the node network. And also the render will noticeably change, so I'm going to move the camera down so you can see the reflection on the water. You should be able to tell that's water. You can use water level over here by typing in a number, and water level right here you can adjust how high it is. So if it's set to like 350, now the camera's in the water. If it's set to 150, it's like right below the camera. And then set it to 0 and there's no water. I'm going to set it to 125 because we want some water. Now I'm going to curve the camera back up. There. And of course, that's really all we can mess around with while keeping this not sounding any more complicated. If I told you any more, it would become complicated. So let's hit save as. Tutorial. And now let's hit the R, aka render. Oh yeah, wait. Before we do that, let's do something kind of advanced. Now, I'm using the free version, so I can't make wallpaper-worthy pictures. Although, while I set this up, you can see a pretty picture in the background that I made using it. We're going to bring up the official site, which compares all the versions. It can tell us what the highest is. Click on Renderers, and then double-click on Render 1. Now, over here we can see the numbers. 128. I'm just going to tell out the numbers from it and you just put them in. If you've paid for the software, then you can use higher numbers. For image width, it's 1280. For image height, it's 900. For detail, down here in quality, it's 1.6. And in anti-aliasing or whatever, it's 4. And this is the highest quality you can get in the free version, which results in quality like this. Not the best quality for the wallpaper, but it still looks good. And you can probably tell I have an obsession with wallpaper, well, with sunsets, even in real life. I think they're pretty. So anyways, let's hit the R button again, and then we just need to hit render, and then we need to wait. First off, it starts making a bunch of little dots. Yeah, I'm serious. Before it does the actual rendering, it puts a bunch of dots on the screen, which looks like space. And I believe it does this just to give you a basic overview of where everything will be. Like right here's the sun in the middle of the picture. And anyways, once it starts rendering, you can see the picture starting to appear, albeit with lower quality, because honestly these pixels look kind of low quality. You can kind of see this on the wallpaper too, noticeably with the God rays, as they're called. See random orange pixels everywhere? So anyways, you can notice that it does one row, then it goes down. Does another row, it goes down. In reality, this isn't really worthy of any tutorial here. We're just waiting on a render here so we can see our final results. And the next row is about to render, though. It's now rendering. Yeah. It's kind of weird like that, isn't it? I don't know, maybe it's just me, but the way this thing renders looks weird. Be back when it's done rendering. Well, here's the result. Yeah, I don't know what's up with the sky. I mean, you have to see if that's the cirrus clouds glitching up or something. Main point is, we ended up generating some weird sea with clouds and a blinding sun that blinds everything. You can make better looking ones, but I figured I didn't want to end up showing too much. If they're not showing how to make a nighttime scene based on the nighttime scene that I made as one of my wallpapers. It's gonna come up soon. Okay, there it is. My nighttime scene. Yeah, it took a bit of time to actually make it look believable in a way. But I'm planning to show you how to make something like that. And now we can now save it. Now once you hit save, you'll get an option right here in order to select what type you want. TIFF, SGI, or Windows bitmap. I choose Windows bitmap because, why? I don't want a unexpected compression. So you can now save it, and then you'll be able to close it. So let's see if it is the cirrus clouds that are glitching it out. I think it is based on the random dots in the sky. They usually don't glitch it up, so I don't know what I did to mess them up. In order to delete something, by the way, you can delete it there. Just click on it, hit delete. But it will leave some leftovers. Like in this case, there's a density fractal 1 leftover. Be sure to click on it and hit delete. Just make sure it's not attached to anything, though. Now I'm now going to do a quick render to see if the dots are in the sky now. Random dots, or... Okay, yeah, that totally fixed the problem. Now you'll still notice that there are a few weird pixels. They're like slightly different than the others, like it alternates. Like a computer back in the day that didn't have many colors. Yeah. But that's the main point, though. And this will be it for this one, but I do plan on showing about nighttime sometime. Just to show how you can try faking nighttime by using the sun as the moon. I mean, nothing.